and welcome. My name is Neil Thrussell, and I'm excited to welcome to interview my friend Lorna Gale, who is, I need to see this. I've got it such small fine print. Is a sexual and spiritual embodiment mentor, teacher, speaker, and healer. And she's a writer and weaver of spiritual stories. Welcome, Lorna.
Thank you, Neil. It's great to be here with you. And as I said before, I just really celebrate this journey you're on with this, with your chasing success. And it's an honor to be a part of this with you.
Thank you. No, it's my honor because when I threw it out there, I didn't know who would land, and I was really wanting people from all walks of life, and not the business coach, the life coach. And so I was beautifully surprised when someone that works in the realm of helping people with their sexual beliefs and sexual hurts and things that are stuck with said yes, because I'm like, oh, this could be fun and juicy. But I'd like to go back to the Lorna, the younger version, wherever, just a younger version of Lorna, and ask you whether it was high school, university, somewhere there's this younger version of Lorna that had a version of success. And what was that for you?
Great question. And it seemed like in some ways this sense of success wasn't even termed as success, just that piece of this is what I want. And to be able to then experience that was, I guess, how I would have called it success if I had to put a label to it at that time. And for me as a younger one, it was to be a wife and a mother. And so I was successful in that.
Check.
Yeah.
And did you know, like you woke up or as a young girl, you said, oh, that's what I want to be? Or was there some outside influences that said, parental, that said, no, this is the way it is. You need to be a mother. You need to, or was it you mostly your dream?
I think sometimes I talk about this aspect of something that's caught versus something that's taught, and sometimes there's the combination of that. I certainly had the experience of having it modeled, with my mom, being a wife and a mother, and she was one of my idols, my mentors, one of the women that I looked up to very much in my growing up years. And so I think that as I saw her living that, it just kind of like, that's what I want to be. So I know that was what was there, in my culture as well, growing up in a conservative religious culture as well. It was just I think that's what was modeled. That was the usual thing of that. And for me, it didn't feel like it was something that was, oh, I have to be that. It was just kind of, that's what I want. That's what I want. Interestingly, another piece that I wanted was to be a nurse. And I was the family nurse, but I never did go on to that. But it was certainly that wife and mother that was just that driving force from within that for me was, I got to experience that. And I'm so grateful for that.
So then so you've experienced motherhood and then so somewhere, I'm assuming that there was something occurred that changed your path, whether it was a conscious or unconscious choice. Something changed many times, I suspect, on your path to get you to where you are here right now. And what's your version of success or vision of success now?
And you're very true, Neil, in that those things from that point to where I am, these different pebbles or crumbs along the way to lead me to where I am here. And I would say that it ended up, or where it started with, was this sense of something inside is kind of, oh, okay, I'm not sure, there's something more and I don't know what it is or how to access it. And for me, it showed up as this sense of, in my sexual piece of, growing up in my background of, save myself for marriage, right? So this idea of my body isn't mine, my sexuality isn't mine. So there's disconnection from who I am in that sense. And so it became this disconnection, starting to realize that, and how do I connect to that part? So that became very much a part of my journey. Along the way, I also went back to university and became a school teacher. And I remember driving to school one day and just like, we'd get our paycheck, our pay stub put into our mailboxes at the school. And there were times where I forgot to pick it up. And it was just kind of like, oh yeah, I get paid to do this. I get paid to do this. So I think in some ways there was that sense of success along that way, that it was doing something that it was just this passion, this, oh wow, I get to do this. So that was a sense of success in that way. And so this sense of longing and something's just there that brought me to this place of my own, what I call my midlife sexual awakening, and this reconnection to myself, and my spiritual journey that had also been happening along the way, sometimes very apparently parallel, sometimes seemingly one and then the other. But this place where this it was really the transition, I think, was going from outside of myself. And your question earlier, Neil, about this wife and mother image and desire, was that something from within or without? And that's exactly where my transition and my definition and my experience of success is, that it's gone from this idea of the outside thing of who I should be or what I should be, or these external things, like the typical, to have a house, the car, the vacations, all of that type of a thing that I think we can all relate to in some ways. That's what we're striving for. If I get those, then I'm successful. And it's really become this thing of the shifting from the outside pursuit or achievements to this inner journey, and what is the inner experience, and how can I really be true to me? What is the outer world reflecting back to me that I can own, and that I can dive into and see from different perspectives. So that for me has become very much a sense of success.
So I'm hearing that there was a younger version of you, and then the version that's sitting before us. And what I know from all the other interviews, I know for a fact it was a straight, easy path. They just went from A to B. There was no bumps in the road, nothing. It was easy for you to give up your spiritual beliefs of the past, embrace your sexuality of who you are, and be the person you are. Right?
With many bumps along the way. Yeah, no, so very true. It's just, yeah, definitely not a linear thing. It's very much this weaving and, this aspect of the dance, right? Of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 3 steps sideways. And this very much this journey of that, for sure.
So what I'm experiencing through these talks is that as our success changes, our volume, it's like there's this discomfort within us that's causing us to move towards, because we don't like to sit, it's like a stone in our shoe. We can tolerate it for so long, but eventually we have to fix the shoe.
Yeah.
Would that be a fair analogy for you?
Very true. Very true. Just where and it actually got to the place where my former husband actually gave me the incredible thing, the gift of really coming to that place of where things are. Because as I started to do my trainings and step into a new line of work, he gave me the opportunity. He said, that just doesn't fit for me. And he said, here's, you can stay here in this relationship, that we had for 30 years, this beautiful man, and, or to continue on this journey. And as I felt into it, which is the central piece of my work, is that sense of feeling into things, feeling in the body. as I felt into each one, I knew that one felt like, okay, it just doesn't feel alive. And the other one was kind of, here we go. So for me, I think that's really, that was, I think, a central pivotal piece for me of where do I go, and stepping into that place of that truth from within, as opposed to what do I need to do, or what do I think I need to do for somebody else. It's just kind of, here we go from the inside out.
And that's the other piece that I've discovered, that doing these interviews, everybody knows the very next step. They have it mapped out completely. It's like, and but the truth is what I'm discovering is the stone is so uncomfortable in the shoe, and they know they need to take the stone out. And once they do, they don't know the path that they're going, but they're open to it. So as we're open to these changes, so I'm going to ask you to pick someone that you think that it can be ultra successful, or somebody that's got a modicum of success. And I'm not defining success, but what do you think is one of the fundamental that successful people have to move them from the rock in their the stone in their shoe to wherever they are now? And we don't have to define, we're not defining success, but in order to move from A to B, there is some measure, there is some things that we do, actions that we do to increase our success.
Mm-hmm. And using what I see as success, from where I am now, that's very much dependent on being in that place of integrity, coming from a place of authenticity. The woman who immediately came to mind for me was Liz Bateson. She's a woman who is one of my mentors, and she's one who, and I think in some ways the reason I see her as such is because she mirrors back to me those things that I recognize within myself, that are the values that I hold dear, and how I would define success. And that's that aspect of, as I mentioned, the integrity and authenticity. This aspect of relationship comes first, versus any pursuits or what we're offering through our work or whatever. But it's just that connecting, that's the foundation. And I certainly remember that from, when I was teaching. It was, I could have all of the curriculum and all of those things ready, whether it was in the school or was as a somatic sex educator, this aspect of connecting with the people, because as people feel seen and heard and supported, that's when they can open up. And that's that piece. So definitely relationship comes first. So I think that for me, when I look at the people that I would say, as I see success, and what how I would look to them as even models, would be those things of the integrity and authenticity and relationship.
Thank you. And we all know you can go to Walmart or the Save and buy authenticity and integrity. Or do you think that they were faced with enough life choices that they were to move forward through and to maintain it, that the universe, God, faith, whatever you wanted, the Tao, challenged them enough times and they continually just chose integrity. They just continued to choose relationships.
I would say, Neil, that there is certainly that element. That's a very strong one. I think also one of the ways that life works is that, gives us the opposite to be able to, oh, that doesn't work, similar to the pebble in the shoe, right? We know what it's like with it in, with it out, just kind of like sometimes that thing about this doesn't work, and so I think that's a big part of it. And I would say, even as far as our whole society right now is, and I think we can condemn the pebble in the shoe, or we can allow it to be seen as a gift for helping us to find our path or find our truth. And I see it that way. And that's even how I look at the patriarchy, is to mine the gold in it for helping us to realize what doesn't work if we're looking for peace and harmony and collaboration and the good of all. And so to be able to mine for the gold. And I think that's touches onto that aspect of what is success. Are we moving in the direction that we say, the direction that we say? And sometimes, like you say, the path to get there isn't always direct. Sometimes it takes a little bit of a dance or trying this and that and refining of things.
And that, I think, one of the things that lead people to success, and it doesn't matter whatever it is they're willing to try and do the dance. And they're willing to, if this door is closed, they move to another door and another door, always with an intention or a thought in mind to keep moving themselves forward.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love, there's an image that keeps coming to mind as you're sharing, Neil, and it's that of from the movie The X-Men and Magneto. This magnetic thing that he, in this one image, he's on this this high piece, and you look forward and there's just this deep crevice and all of these things, and he takes a step and there's nothing in front of him, like it's just this deep chasm. And as he steps forward, all the metal pieces come and form that step beneath his feet. He takes that step, and again the next step, and it's just that whole piece. And I think that that's often that aspect of success happens one moment at a time, one step at a time. And that big piece of sometimes the unknowing and trusting into that process. And I think that there's that, I don't know. And it's sometimes that idea of, okay, not knowing can feel full, and sometimes it can feel empty. Either way, it's just kind of, in this moment, here's this next step.
We have a beautiful listener. It says she's just commenting, life's journey as we walk many paths, all choice. And just let's choose.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
And also I think it can be this idea of, we have this, and it comes back for myself, this whole idea from a religious perspective or from a cultural, there's so much this idea of there's a right and a wrong, and we can live in this idea of, okay, if I go this way I can be successful, I went this way and I'm not. Just kind of like, what if? And I hold to this premise that there are multiple paths. And so this is, and coming back to this idea of choice, choose your own adventure and going down this path. This is what success looks like and feels like.
Well, just follow what I say and you will be.
That's right.
Oh my goodness. I'm looking at the clock. We're like 20 minutes. When I set this up, I thought, 20 minutes is fine. That's lots of time. Boy, am I learning that it's not. We're just touching on the surface. Is there something that you would like to leave our viewers and our listeners and those on replay with before we go?
Thank you. I would say success is an inside job. It's about living from the inside out.
Wonderful. And I just got to put this up. My friend Carrie says, give up being right and wrong. Be authentic to the soul and spirit. Thank you, Carrie, for being part of our journey today.
Yes.
And thank you. I want to thank you, Lorna, for being part of today. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil.
And I look forward to our next adventure.
I do too. All right. Until then, bye for now.